Sleep is the single most powerful restorative tool we have. It regulates our metabolism, it keeps our brain young, it balances our hormones, and it reduces our risk for chronic disease. And yet, especially as we age, sleep becomes elusive. Seniors come to me all the time saying, "Doc, I can't sleep through the night. I wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. and can't get back to sleep." Now, you've probably been told to take a pill or maybe sip some warm milk. But what if I told you that a simple natural food, something as ordinary as a lemon, could help reset your sleep cycle? Not in months, not in years, but in just a few nights. Today we're going to talk about how lemons, yes, lemons, can support deep restorative sleep. This isn't about gimmicks or quick fixes. This is about biochemistry, the way your body actually works. And the good news, you can start tonight. Sleep is not just rest. Sleep is therapy. It's the nightly reset button for your brain, your hormones, your metabolism, and even your mood. But as we age, something starts to happen that most people never expect. Seniors often tell me, "I go to bed tired, I fall asleep easily, but then like clockwork, I wake up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and that's it. I toss, I turn, maybe I drift off again just before dawn, but I never feel refreshed." This is not uncommon. In fact, it's one of the most frequent complaints among older adults. And the truth is, it's not your imagination. The science is clear. As we age, our sleep becomes lighter, shorter, and more fragmented. Why? Let's look under the hood. In younger people, deep sleep, what we call slow wave sleep, is abundant. That's when your body releases growth hormone, repairs tissue, consolidates memory, and resets your metabolic machinery. But by the time we reach our 60s or 70s, the proportion of deep sleep shrinks dramatically. What takes its place? Lighter, more fragile sleep, which means the slightest noise, the smallest discomfort, even a racing thought can wake you up. And once you're up, it can be nearly impossible to slide back into that deep restorative state. It's not just about lighter sleep stages. Melatonin, the hormone your brain makes to signal that it's time for rest, also declines with age. A younger person produces plenty of melatonin at night, almost like flipping off a switch. Darkness arrives, melatonin rises, sleep comes, but in seniors, melatonin production is blunted. It's not a switch anymore, it's a dimmer dial that never quite reaches full brightness. The result? You don't fall asleep as deeply, and your body has trouble maintaining sleep throughout the night. Add to this the medical conditions that often accompany aging. Arthritis pain, prostate enlargement, reflux, medications that interfere with sleep architecture. All of these act like little saboteurs in the night. Each one nudges you out of slumber, fragments your sleep, and makes it harder to achieve the deep rest your body craves. But let's zoom out further. Why does this matter? Because fragmented sleep isn't just a nuisance, it's a health hazard. When you don't get continuous deep sleep, your brain can't properly clear out the metabolic waste that accumulates during the day. One of those waste products is beta amyloid, the sticky protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. In younger adults, deep sleep is like running the dishwasher every night. It clears out the debris. In seniors with fragmented sleep, that dishwasher cycle never finishes. The sink backs up. Over years, that buildup becomes dangerous. And that's just the brain. Fragmented sleep also wreaks havoc on your metabolism. Studies show that older adults who wake frequently during the night have higher blood sugar levels, greater insulin resistance, and higher cortisol, the stress hormone that drives belly fat. Poor sleep, in other words, accelerates the very diseases of aging: type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cognitive decline. It's not just that you feel tired, it's that your body is literally aging faster when your sleep is broken. Now, let me be clear. Seniors don't just forget how to sleep. The biology of aging does make sleep more fragile, but lifestyle factors can make it much worse. Late night screen exposure suppresses melatonin even further. Alcohol fragments sleep by disrupting REM. Caffeine, even if consumed in the afternoon, lingers in the bloodstream longer in older adults, pushing the brain toward lighter stages of sleep. And then there's stress, worry about health, family, or finances. The brain, instead of powering down, revs up in the middle of the night. So when a senior tells me, "Doc, I just can't sleep through the night anymore," my response is, it's not just aging, it's a combination of biology, environment, and lifestyle conspiring together. The fragmented sleep is real, but it doesn't have to be inevitable. There are ways to strengthen the architecture of sleep, to nudge the body back into deeper rest, and to give the brain the nightly therapy it desperately needs. And here's the encouraging part. Sometimes the solutions are not as complicated as we think. Yes, we can talk about sleep hygiene, about turning off screens, managing stress, and aligning light exposure with circadian rhythms. But nature has also provided us with foods and compounds that support sleep at the biochemical level. That's where something as simple as lemon comes into the story. Not as a miracle cure, not as a gimmick, but as a natural way to calm the nervous system, aid digestion, and help set the stage for more continuous rest. But before we get into lemons and their unique properties, it's important to recognize this first truth: seniors struggle with fragmented sleep because of deep biological changes in the brain and body. Understanding that reality helps us move away from blame. Maybe I'm just bad at sleeping, and towards strategy. What can I do naturally and safely to work with my biology, not against it? Because here's the bottom line. Sleep fragmentation is not just a nighttime inconvenience. It's a signal, a red flag from the body that something is out of alignment. And if we take it seriously, if we respect the science, we can make choices that restore not just sleep, but vitality, clarity, and resilience in the years when we need them most. When most people think about lemons, they think about sourness, a wedge on your fish, a slice in your water, maybe a bit of zest in a cake. But what if I told you that this everyday fruit, humble, simple, cheap, holds compounds that can help you sleep better at night? And not by knocking you out, like a pill would, but by supporting the very systems in your body that set the stage for deep, restorative rest. That's not folklore, that's biochemistry. Let's start with the basics. Lemons are loaded with vitamin C. Everyone knows vitamin C supports the immune system, but fewer people realize how it influences sleep. Vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant. In the brain, oxidative stress, an imbalance between damaging free radicals and the antioxidants that neutralize them, can disrupt neurotransmitters. When your neurons are stressed, sleep becomes erratic. Studies show that people with higher vitamin C intake report fewer night wakings and better overall sleep quality. Why? Because vitamin C calms inflammation, reduces oxidative stress, and protects the very circuits that regulate sleep. But vitamin C is just one player. Lemons contain bioflavonoids, particularly hesperidin and eriocitrin. These compounds don't just sit around doing nothing, they act on the nervous system. Hesperidin, for instance, has been shown in animal studies to have mild sedative effects, helping to quiet down overactive neurons and promote relaxation. Think about it as we age. One of the major culprits of fragmented sleep is a hyper-aroused nervous system. The brain doesn't shut off, it keeps firing when it should be resting. Bioflavonoids help tune that system down, like turning down the volume on a radio that's been blasting static all night. And then there's limonene. This is the aromatic oil that gives lemon its signature scent. You've smelled it when peeling the rind. Limonene has been studied for its anti-anxiety properties. Inhaling it can actually modulate neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, creating a calming effect. Ever wonder why lemon essential oil is used in aromatherapy for stress relief? It's not superstition. It's because limonene interacts with brain chemistry in measurable ways. A calmer brain is a brain that sleeps deeper. Now let's connect this to digestion, because seniors often underestimate the gut-sleep connection. Poor digestion, reflux, and nighttime bloating are frequent reasons older adults wake up at night. Lemons, despite their acidic taste, are metabolically alkalizing. They stimulate the production of digestive enzymes and bile, helping the gut break down food more efficiently. That means less reflux, less discomfort, fewer reasons to wake up at 2 a.m. clutching your chest. A calmer stomach equals a calmer night. There's also the liver to consider. The liver is your overnight janitor, working hardest while you sleep to detoxify the bloodstream. But if liver function is sluggish, metabolic byproducts linger, and your body sends out stress signals that can disrupt rest. Lemon has long been recognized as a liver-supportive food. The citric acid stimulates enzymatic activity, while antioxidants reduce inflammation in liver tissue. When the liver works more efficiently, the whole system calms, paving the way for deeper, more continuous sleep. And here's a fascinating angle: blood sugar. Seniors often wake up in the middle of the night, not just because of light sleep, but because of blood sugar dips. When glucose drops, cortisol, the stress hormone, surges to bring it back up. And what does cortisol do? It wakes you. Lemons help here too. The flavonoids in lemon improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your body uses sugar more effectively. Stable blood sugar translates into fewer cortisol spikes and fewer 3 a.m. wake-ups. Now you might be thinking, Doc, are you saying that drinking lemon water will cure insomnia? No. Let's be clear. Lemon is not a magic bullet. It won't override chronic pain or a noisy neighborhood or late-night coffee. But what it does is support the biochemical foundation of sleep. It reduces oxidative stress. It calms the nervous system. It aids digestion. It supports liver detox. It steadies blood sugar. Each of those factors on its own can fragment sleep. Address them together, and you create conditions where deep rest becomes possible again. And unlike pharmaceutical sleep aids, lemon does this gently, without side effects. Sleeping pills sedate the brain. They don't create natural sleep. They mimic it. The architecture of rest, REM cycles, slow-wave sleep, gets distorted. That's why so many people wake up groggy after using them. Lemon, by contrast, doesn't force sleep. It invites it by nudging the body back toward balance. It works with your biology, not against it. One more point. Sleep is about rhythm. The circadian clock ticking in every cell. Light, food, and hormones all set that rhythm. Lemons, with their ability to improve insulin sensitivity and lower inflammation, may help realign those rhythms. A more synchronized body clock means falling asleep when you should, staying asleep longer, and waking up refreshed instead of depleted. So, yes, lemons may seem ordinary, but they're anything but trivial. They contain a cocktail of compounds that target exactly the problems seniors face: inflammation, oxidative stress, nervous system overdrive, digestive discomfort, liver sluggishness, blood sugar instability. Add those up, and you've got a natural aid that doesn't just taste good, it makes deep restorative sleep more attainable. The point is not that lemon is the only answer. The point is that nature once again provides tools that are safe, accessible, and effective when we understand the science behind them. Seniors don't have to surrender to fragmented nights and drowsy days. Sometimes the first step to reclaiming sleep is as simple as squeezing half a lemon into warm water before bed. It's not about the ritual, it's about the chemistry. And the chemistry says, this little fruit has big potential. When we talk about sleep, most people immediately think about the brain. They picture melatonin, circadian rhythms, maybe the pineal gland. That's all true, but it's only half the story. The other half lives in your gut. And for seniors especially, the gut-brain connection is not just relevant, it's central. If your gut isn't working properly, your brain won't rest properly. It's that simple. Let me explain. Inside your intestines lives a community of trillions of bacteria, collectively called the gut microbiome. These microbes aren't freeloaders. They digest fibers you can't. They produce vitamins you need, and they generate metabolites, little chemical messengers that travel directly to your brain. And here's the kicker. They also make neurotransmitters. Serotonin, for instance, the feel-good chemical that stabilizes mood and promotes sleep, while 90% of it is produced in the gut, not the brain. Think about that. The very chemical that sets the stage for rest is generated by the bacteria in your digestive tract. Now, what happens as we age? The microbiome shifts, diversity drops, beneficial species decline, and harmful species, those that promote inflammation, take over. This microbial imbalance is called dysbiosis. And one of the most common symptoms of dysbiosis is fragmented sleep. Why? Because the metabolites produced by those bacteria send constant stress signals to the brain, lighting up pathways that interfere with rest. Instead of calming neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, you get inflammatory molecules like cytokines. And cytokines don't make you sleepy, they make you restless. This is why seniors often complain of nighttime discomfort, bloating, gas, reflux. It's not just annoying, it's disruptive. Every time the gut sends distress signals, the brain responds with arousal. You wake up, you toss, you turn. And because the gut and brain communicate via the vagus nerve, a direct telephone line, the effect is immediate. A cranky gut equals a restless brain. But here's where lemon enters the story. Lemons are a prebiotic food. That means they contain fibers and compounds that feed beneficial gut bacteria. When you consume lemon, particularly the pith and peel, you're giving your microbiome the fuel it needs to generate those calming neurotransmitters. More serotonin, more GABA, less inflammatory noise, and when the gut calms, the brain follows suit. Another angle is digestion itself. Seniors frequently struggle with slower digestion, weaker stomach acid, and less efficient bile flow. The result? Food lingers, ferments, and causes reflux or indigestion, classic sleep disruptors. Lemon stimulates gastric juices and bile secretion, essentially jump-starting digestion. That means your dinner moves along the pipeline instead of sitting heavy in your stomach all night. You're less likely to wake up with reflux at 2 a.m. and more likely to stay in deep sleep cycles. And then there's the liver, which plays a starring role in the gut-brain sleep axis. The liver detoxifies compounds and regulates blood sugar, especially during the night. When the liver is overburdened, whether from poor diet, medications, or age, it sends distress signals that disrupt sleep. Lemon supports liver function through its citric acid and antioxidants, making it easier for the liver to do its nightly work quietly in the background without waking you up. But let's pull back to the broader picture. Inflammation, poor gut health drives systemic inflammation, and inflammation is a sleep killer. Elevated inflammatory markers are consistently associated with insomnia and poor sleep quality. That's because inflammation disrupts the balance of neurotransmitters and alters brainwave patterns. Lemons, through vitamin C and bioflavonoids, reduce gut inflammation. That's not just soothing your stomach, that's quieting the very noise that keeps your brain from entering slow-wave sleep. The gut-brain connection is not a fringe theory, it's established science. In fact, researchers call the gut the second brain because of the enteric nervous system, a vast network of neurons embedded in your intestinal wall. These neurons don't just control digestion, they talk directly to the central nervous system. They influence mood, stress, resilience, and yes, sleep. Seniors with irritable bowels, reflux, or chronic constipation often suffer the worst sleep. Fix the gut, and suddenly the brain rests easier. This connection also explains why some people feel calmer after drinking lemon water in the evening. It's not placebo. The gut senses the citric acid, the microbiome responds to the prebiotic compounds, digestion smooths out, and the nervous system gets a signal of safety. Safety is key. The brain will not allow deep sleep if it perceives a threat. An inflamed or distressed gut is interpreted as a threat. A soothed gut tells the brain, it's okay to let go now. Now think about this in the context of seniors who wake up multiple times a night. Often, it's not just the bladder or the creaky joints, it's the gut-brain axis misfiring. The microbiome is producing the wrong signals. Blood sugar is dipping. The liver is struggling. The vagus nerve is transmitting alarm bells instead of lullabies. Restoring balance in the gut flips the script. Suddenly, the messages traveling up to the brain are calming, not alarming. And the brain, in turn, rewards you with deeper, more continuous sleep. This is why I keep stressing you cannot separate sleep from digestion. You cannot separate the brain from the gut. They're wired together biochemically and neurologically. If you want to fix sleep, you have to fix both. And that's why something as humble as lemon deserves attention. It's not just a fruit, it's a tool, a way to nourish beneficial bacteria, to ease digestion, to support liver detox, and to cool inflammation, all of which ripple upward to the brain, to the circuits that govern rest. So the next time you hear someone say, I just can't sleep through the night, consider the gut, consider what signals it's sending, what state it's in, and how a simple intervention like adding lemon into the routine can tip the balance. Because when the gut is in harmony, the brain feels safe. And when the brain feels safe, sleep comes naturally. We live in a culture that loves quick fixes. Can't sleep, take a pill. Feeling anxious, take a pill. Blood pressure high, take a pill. The pharmaceutical industry has built an empire on the promise that every problem has a chemical solution in a bottle. And don't get me wrong, medications have their place. They save lives. But when it comes to sleep, especially in seniors, that promise has backfired. Because what those pills deliver is not true sleep, it's sedation. And sedation is not the same thing as restoration. Let's draw the distinction clearly. Natural sleep follows a rhythm. You cycle through light sleep, deep slow wave sleep, and REM. Each stage has a purpose. Slow wave sleep cleans the brain, consolidates memory, and resets your metabolic machinery. REM sleep is where your brain processes emotion and builds resilience. When those cycles run smoothly, you wake up refreshed. Now, what happens when you take a sleeping pill? You may knock out quickly, but your sleep architecture is altered. Deep sleep gets reduced. REM gets fragmented. You wake up groggy, sometimes disoriented, because your brain never actually did the nightly housekeeping it needed. That's why long-term use of sleeping pills is linked to memory problems, increased risk of falls, and even higher mortality in seniors. So yes, pharmaceuticals can force you unconscious, but they cannot give you the kind of sleep that heals. That's where natural approaches shine. They don't override your biology, they support it. They don't sedate you, they invite your body to do what it already knows how to do. That's a profound difference. Take lemon, for example. Nobody is claiming that lemon is a sedative. It doesn't knock you out. What it does is reduce the obstacles that keep you from sleeping naturally. Inflammation? Vitamin C and flavonoids address that. Overactive nervous system? Lemon helps calm it. Blood sugar swings? Lemon compounds improve insulin sensitivity. Gut discomfort? Lemon stimulates digestion and bile flow. Each of those pathways removes friction, allowing the body's natural sleep machinery to operate the way it's supposed to. That's not sedation, that's restoration. Contrast that with what happens when a senior takes a benzodiazepine like temazepam or even an over-the-counter antihistamine marketed as a sleep aid. At first, it feels like a godsend. You fall asleep faster, maybe you even sleep longer, but the side effects build. The brain becomes dependent on the chemical to initiate sleep, so your natural mechanisms weaken further. Stop the pill and your insomnia rebounds worse than before. Keep taking it and your risk of cognitive decline falls and accidents skyrockets. That's not a cure, that's a trap. Here's another angle. Pharmaceuticals work by forcing the brain into submission. Natural aids, on the other hand, work by bringing the body into balance. Think of it this way, your body has a built-in symphony of hormones, neurotransmitters, and circadian signals that coordinate sleep. Aging makes that symphony less synchronized. Pharmaceuticals come in like a hammer, silencing the noise but also silencing the music. Natural approaches come in like a conductor, nudging the musicians back into harmony, so the music plays as intended. That's the difference between unconsciousness and true rest. And here's the irony, when seniors lean on natural supports, they often discover they need less intervention overall. Their digestion improves, their mood stabilizes, their energy returns. Why? Because sleep is upstream of everything else. Fix sleep naturally, and you're not just solving insomnia, you're slowing down the whole cascade of age-related decline. Pharmaceuticals can't do that. They may patch the symptom, but they deepen the underlying dysfunction. Now let's not be naive. There are cases where pharmaceuticals are necessary. Someone with severe sleep apnea, untreated depression, or advanced neurodegenerative disease may require medical intervention, but for the vast majority of seniors, the insomnia is not a disease. It's a signal. It's the body saying inflammation is high, the nervous system is wired, digestion is sluggish, the circadian rhythm is out of sync. A pill can silence that signal, but it doesn't resolve the root. Natural strategies, diet, light exposure, stress reduction, and yes, simple supports like lemon, work at the root. I've seen it in countless patients. A senior comes in frustrated. Doc, I can't sleep. I've tried every pill. Nothing works. We start small, maybe evening lemon water, maybe better light exposure in the morning, maybe cutting caffeine afternoon. Within weeks, their sleep improves. Not perfectly, aging is real, but measurably, and the improvement sticks, because the body is doing the work, not the pill. Think about the bigger picture. The pharmaceutical model of sleep is extraction. You pay for the pill, you become dependent on the pill, and the company extracts value from your biology. The natural model is empowerment. You learn how your body works. You use simple tools to support it, and you extract the value: better health, better sleep, better life for yourself. And this is why the lemon matters. It's not that lemon is magical. It's that lemon represents the principle of working with biology instead of against it. It's accessible, it's safe, it's effective in small but meaningful ways. Combine it with other natural strategies, and you create a system where sleep can return not as sedation but as restoration. So when seniors ask me, Doc, should I just take a pill? My answer is always the same. If you want to be unconscious, sure. If you want to be restored, let's work with your body instead. Because real sleep is earned, not prescribed. And in the long run, it's the natural supports, the lemons of the world, that keep you not just alive, but alive and well. One of the most frustrating parts of insomnia, especially for seniors, is the feeling of hopelessness. You try one thing, then another, and nothing seems to work. People get told, that's just aging, you'll have to live with it. Or worse, here, take this pill. And yet, what if I told you that sometimes the right natural intervention can begin to shift sleep patterns, not in months, but in just a few nights? That doesn't mean instant perfection, but it does mean momentum, and momentum is everything when it comes to restoring sleep. Now let's be clear. Sleep is complicated. It involves hormones, neurotransmitters, the circadian clock, the gut microbiome, the liver, the nervous system, the whole body. So when I say lemon can make a difference quickly, I don't mean it's magic. I mean it's hitting several of the key roadblocks at once. And when you remove even one or two roadblocks, the body often responds surprisingly fast. Let's walk through how this works. First, consider digestion. Seniors often go to bed with food still heavy in the stomach. That leads to reflux, bloating, or simple discomfort that wakes them in the middle of the night. Lemon, when consumed in warm water before bed, stimulates gastric juices and bile flow. Suddenly, digestion moves more efficiently. Within a night or two, that midnight reflux that used to jolt you awake is quieter. That alone can translate into deeper, less interrupted sleep. Next, think about blood sugar. Seniors are particularly vulnerable to what we call nocturnal hypoglycemia, a blood sugar dip that happens hours after dinner. When that dip occurs, the body pumps out cortisol and adrenaline to raise blood sugar back up. And what do cortisol and adrenaline do? They wake you up. Lemon's flavonoids improve insulin sensitivity, stabilizing blood sugar. You don't need weeks to feel that shift. Sometimes the effect is noticeable within days. Fewer middle-of-the-night awakenings, fewer racing thoughts at 3 a.m. And then there's the nervous system itself. Stress and anxiety are among the biggest drivers of insomnia in seniors. The problem isn't falling asleep, it's staying asleep because the nervous system never fully powers down. Limonene, the aromatic oil in lemon peel, has measurable anti-anxiety effects. Inhaling it or ingesting it can calm overactive neurons. That calming effect isn't theoretical, it's fast. People report feeling more relaxed within minutes. So when you combine lemon water before bed with the natural aroma of the peel, you're essentially signaling the brain, it's safe now, you can let go. And when the brain gets that signal consistently, sleep lengthens. Now, skeptics might say, Doc, that sounds too easy. How can a lemon do what whole medications struggle to accomplish? The answer is that medications force the brain into unconsciousness. They override. Lemon doesn't override. It facilitates. It takes pressure off the system by reducing inflammation, aiding digestion, calming nerves, and stabilizing blood sugar. When those burdens are lifted, the brain doesn't have to fight to maintain sleep. It slips into it naturally. And because the brain is hardwired to seek balance, when you clear the path, it doesn't take long for it to recalibrate. The fast-acting potential also ties to psychology. Insomnia isn't just physical, it's mental. After enough sleepless nights, people develop what's called conditioned arousal. The bed itself becomes a cue for stress. What if I can't sleep tonight? That anxiety keeps you awake. Now imagine you try something simple, like lemon, and within a couple of nights, you wake up realizing you slept longer than usual. That small success interrupts the cycle of fear. You start to believe sleep is possible again. And belief is powerful. It reduces the anxiety that fuels insomnia, which in turn accelerates improvement. One success breeds another. That's the snowball effect. I've seen this happen countless times. Seniors who have gone months waking every 2 hours suddenly string together 3 or 4 nights of improved rest after making a simple change, whether it's adding lemon water, adjusting light exposure, or cutting caffeine. They're shocked. Doc, it actually worked. And I tell them, of course it worked. The body wants to sleep. It's built for it. Sometimes you just need to give it the right nudge. It's also worth noting that lemon's fast-acting effects don't come with the rebound insomnia that pills cause. Sleeping pills often work immediately, but as soon as you stop, the insomnia roars back even worse. That's because the body never learned to sleep. It was forced. With lemon or any natural aid, the opposite is true. You're retraining your system, not suppressing it. The improvements may be modest at first, but they're real. And because they come from within, they compound over time. So when I say lemon can help you sleep better in just a few nights, what I mean is this: the body responds quickly when you remove barriers. Digestion improves right away. Blood sugar steadies right away. The nervous system calms right away. Each of these creates immediate opportunities for longer, deeper rest. And once you taste even a little success, the brain and body learn to reinforce it. The broader point is this: you don't have to wait months to see if natural interventions work. The body is dynamic. It adapts fast. That's encouraging because seniors often feel they don't have time to waste. They want results they can feel Lemon delivers not by sedating, but by liberating the systems that already know how to sleep. That's why it can feel fast, and that's why it's worth trying before reaching for the prescription pad. At the end of the day, sleep isn't optional, it's foundational. Seniors who reclaim even a few hours of continuous rest report sharper minds, better moods, steadier energy, and more resilience. If something as simple as lemon can tip the balance and tip it quickly, why not use it? Sometimes the most effective solutions aren't locked in a pharmacy, they're sitting quietly in your kitchen, waiting to be rediscovered.